Here on the John Fredericks Media Network and the John Fredericks Radio apps. Great to have you with us. Don't forget our poll in Iowa. You've got to participate in this. We got 11 candidates on it. 2028 is going to be right around the corner. The results we're getting so far, some of the results are shocking, so you want to participate in our poll. We don't take your name, we don't text you, we don't sell it, you don't have to do any of that. Just go to johnfredericksradio.com, johnfredericksradio.com. You'll see our Iowa straw poll up there, 11 candidates. You rank them first, second, right down to the bottom, and you just hit submit. And so far, we've got thousands of respondents. We're trying to get to 10,000. Then we're going to have a really good read. Some of the responses right now are very, very interesting, and Saxon will be sharing that a little bit later. We're day 3, Iowa Bus Tour, Sioux City. We've got a great group with us that we're going to have Chris McGowan introduce in one moment. Let me just start this, though. This segment brought to you by our good friend Julio Gonzalez of Engineer Tax Services. Did you ever stop and think, why do billionaires love the tax code? Because it's 2 million pages, and they got high-priced elite lawyers taking advantage of it. Remember the debate Trump had with Hillary Clinton, and Hillary said, you didn't pay any taxes. You didn't pay any taxes. Trump turned to her and he said, I paid the very taxes in the tax laws that you wrote. So if you don't like the tax laws, why don't you change them, Hillary? Because that's what I did. Because I got lawyers that take advantage of your 2 million page tax code. We don't. So here's what Julio does, right? He does this for you. This is tax literacy for MAGA. It's unbelievable. I speak from recent experience. All he says is go do your taxes. Do them for 25 taxes. Do them. Don't file them. Send them to Julio. All done. He doesn't want to get between you, your accountant, or if your brother-in-law does it, or you're doing it yourself. Do them. Don't file it. Send it to Julio. They'll look at it and see if they can save you more money. And if they do, and your accountant accepts it, which they will because it's the law, then they're going to take 5 to 10%. So it costs you nothing. This year, Ann and I, you know what? We saved $15,000 cash. $15,000 cash in lower taxes. They found that our accountant, who's really good, because of our companies didn't know it was there, forgot, didn't take advantage of it, because the tax code 2 million pages. So we sent it to him, and he's like, wow, this works. He's right. You know, I didn't see this, I didn't see that. $15,000 lowered our tax bill in 2025 that we're paying in April. So we pay him 7.5% of that. How much is that? Like $1,000? Like say, pay him 1,000, say 15? Like you'd have to be an idiot to say no. All you got to do to get involved, you have no obligation. Just text the letters ETS, Engineer Tax Services, to the number 26786. ETS 26786, and Julio's company, Engineer Tax Service, they'll go right back to you, and then you take it from there. If you have savings or you don't, and if you don't, then you'll sleep better at night knowing that you tried to take full advantage of the $2 million page tax code, especially with the new one big beautiful bill, all kinds of things in there you really don't know. So take advantage of that. Nothing to lose. Julio's a great guy. Maybe you'll get Sammy. He was our guy. He's great. ETS. Text ETS to the number in your phone, 26786. Thank you. We got Dan Oxner's in the house. Dan, good to have you with us.
This is the Ox.
Very nice, Dan. Okay, let's go to Chris McGowan. We got a full house here. McGowan, the candidate for Congress, District 4, Iowa. This is the soul of the conservative movement in Iowa. And Chris, you brought the varsity team.
Yeah, John, again, thank you so much for coming to Sioux City, Iowa. We're delighted to welcome you to a community that we're very proud of. We sit right on the borders of Nebraska and South Dakota. Our 3 states are divided by the Missouri River and the Big Sioux River. We're proud of the place that we call home. Many of your listening audience will remember this community for the extraordinary response to the United 232 plane crash back in 1989. We think that episode, that tragedy, and the community's response in saving lives reflected the caliber and the character of the people who choose to call this community home. Joining us this morning, I have Colonel Brian Miller. Colonel Miller is a former A-7 and F-16 single-seat fighter pilot. Went on to command an Air National Guard wing, KC-135 refueling tankers. Brian is a businessman and entrepreneur, and he also served on the staff of General Petraeus in Afghanistan for about 8 months, and we'll get to Brian in just a minute. Also joining us is Don Kass. Don is an elected official. He is a county supervisor in Iowa. He is also an expert in ag. And in addition to that, he was a Trump Electoral College elector 2 times. And then finally, rounding out our team, Mr. Chris Hupke. Chris Hupke is from Cherokee, Iowa, originally in Iowa 4. Chris was an outstanding wrestler, and wrestling's very, very big in the state of Iowa in his prep days. Chris went on to serve the Trump campaign in 2016 as the Iowa 4 director, and then he went on to run Governor Kristi Noem's campaign in 2022 as the campaign manager. And we're thrilled to have these gentlemen with us this morning, John, and we're delighted to be on your program.
Well, listen, thank you for setting this up, and we came to Sioux City. It wasn't on the original schedule because we found these bus tours is that everybody wants to know the schedule like 2 weeks ahead of time. It's like, no, that's not the way we roll. We get there, we book the first day. Wherever we go, like I think we're going to Texas or Louisiana or something, we book the first day, and then it's all organic from there. And then people say, come here, go there. And Chris McGowan set up Sioux City yesterday in one day. He got everything set for us. That's the way McGowan rolls. Guys, this is exciting because we're in Iowa. And one of the great things about me getting out of the bubble in Washington, D.C., where I live, is you talk to real people facing real issues. And Saxman said something yesterday that got to me. He said, you know, John, the best thing about being here is to get with people again that love America. And when you sit in Washington, D.C., and you go to the White House every day, and you go to that press briefing, and the first 3 rows are like the bar scene at Star Wars, and I got to deal with that every day, you know, you can get very cynical very quickly. So it's good to get out here and see all you guys. I'm going to start with Hupke. You were President Trump's District 4 chair. You also worked for Noem. Give us a little feel about where Iowans' heads are now, Chris, in the Trump administration, the MAGA movement. You've been there from the beginning. Give us a little insight, Hupke.
Well, John, thank you again for the opportunity to share about Iowa. Yeah, so, you know, going back to 15 and 16, what Iowans were looking for, what America was looking for, was somebody that could come in and get something done. And the man that hired me, Chuck Laudner, had said the reason why he was so enthusiastic about Trump is because in all of his years of working in politics and being around candidates, he said there was nobody that would ever get done what Trump would get done. And this is proof positive. And this is why people love him, is because he is very actionary. He's getting things done. And so people appreciate that. And I think to the extent that I would say there is any criticism, it's only in that he's been so effective. We want to check every single box, and we're not as patient probably as we used to be. If you would have asked us years ago, you know, for half of the things that he's already gotten done, we would have been ecstatic, elated, and yet today, you know, you've already talked about some of the challenges that we're facing right now. The Epstein files, I'll throw myself into that with 2 young sons who are in that voting age, and the key thing to one of them months ago was the Epstein files. So I know that is an issue for Iowans. This is something they want to see accountability on. Accountability for all of us probably is the issue. We're seeing growth in the economy. We're seeing, you know, as you mentioned earlier, there's some things that we're being patient on in the ag sector. You know, all of the things that we're hold near and dear, we see reaction to, but except for the accountability piece, I think Iowans are going to come out in droves for Trump and support him and all of the candidates that he endorses.
Let's get to Colonel Miller here, Colonel. You've been here from the beginning. and we thank you for that, and thank you for your service. When you talk to Iowans now, what is the sense that you're getting about the state of the economy, the state of the movement?
Well, excuse me again. Thanks for being here in Sioux City. It's great. You know, the people I know, we're still huge Trump supporters. I think the frustration is just what you talked about earlier today, is Congress and the Senate. You know, they're just. It's like we got to pull teeth all the time. It's like he doesn't have the right people in Congress to help him. I think, you know, the circle I run in, we're thrilled with what he's doing out there. 100% behind it, completely on board. And to digress just a little, you know, the other thing here in western Iowa, really the whole state, but we're talking about western Iowa today, the Army and Air Guard have deployed numerous times over the past 15 years in support of Iraq and Afghanistan. And I think one of the real strengths that President Trump has is he continues to talk about, let's not get involved in endless and stupid wars. And I think that really resonates out here in our area. So I think there's great support for President Trump still. I couldn't be more thrilled.
Where's the vulnerability?
And I'm not an expert on it, but again, I think in our ag community with the tariffs and the beginning to import Argentine beef, that rattles it through the ag economy. And let's face it, we're a huge ag state.
Well, why are we importing Argentine beef when we have all this cattle here?
Well, we don't have a lot of cattle here, which you could talk to more. We're at historic lows in the cattle herd. It takes 2 years to start from beginning to end to get a cow on the market. And interesting, I run a little meat store, a shameless plug. But people come in and, you know, they're paying $6, $7, $8 a pound for hamburger now. And I just think that's one of those weird little things that everyone can grasp onto. It's like, I'm paying $7.50 for a pound of hamburger. And I think that's why Trump had to do something to try and alleviate the price pressure. Now, again, I'll defer to our ag experts here. Maybe there was a smarter way to do it. But, you know, again, it always boils down to a couple of kitchen table issues, I think. And that's a big part of it.
You served in Afghanistan. You were part of Petraeus staff, right?
Yeah, during the
surge.
surge.
You were right in the middle of that crap show that went on forever. What experience did you draw from that President Trump is not repeating?
Well, we're not getting involved in wars like that anymore. And you know, really, if you think about it, since World War II, I think we're like 1-7 in wars, or 1-6 with a tie in there. And here's what Trump does different. He doesn't go in there and pinprick this, pinprick that, get real nuanced about things. He goes in, if military action's required, he goes in and just devastates, like his raid in Iran was. And I think the military respects that. When we were in Afghanistan, I was there in 2010, 2011, at the height of the surge, when we flooded about 120,000 troops in there. And honestly, it was a train wreck over there. Everybody knew it was never going to work.
Why?
Right. But because the Afghan people didn't want us over there. They just didn't. I always kind of make the joke, it's not really a joke, it's kind of sad probably, but I got all over the country a lot, and it was interesting. You'd go from valley to valley, which here in Iowa would be like going from one small community to the next small community, and all of them shared one common thing. They didn't want a big central government. That's just not how Afghans work. And we're kind of the same way in a way. This community wants to do that community wants to do it a little different. And we tried to create the United States government inside of Afghanistan. And it was an abject failure.
Yeah, starting from the top down.
Absolutely.
Wrong order.
Everything was wrong about that. You know, and I think, and this is just one little colonel's opinion, you know, in World War II, we would send a general over, and they stayed there till the end of the war. What we did in Afghanistan was, remember, every 10 to 12 months, we put a new general in charge over there. So nobody was there. You know, nobody had to take ownership of that process. It was, hey, I moved the ball forward a little bit.
Nobody took ownership.
There was no ownership at all over there. And again, the average Afghan didn't want us there to start with, and we never figured that out. And if you look at Afghanistan, 95% of them when we first got there were illiterate. So how do you train an army when they can't read anything? It just everything about that. We kind of had a saying over there, and it could be a lot better. I'll give you just a micro example. We go in one day and spray. We got to stop drugs, somebody said. So they go spray the poppy fields, with herbicide. Well, how do you think that made them feel when their only source of income was the poppy fields? And we go in and destroy their entire ag economy. And so there was no comprehensive plan to win that thing. And it's incredibly difficult to beat a population. Well, our military is geared to go against similar militaries. We were never built to go into somewhere where they throw rocks and stones and you can't tell who the good person and the bad person is. There weren't any military targets that you could discern, is I guess what I'm getting at. If you got in a war with Russia, there's missile sites, there's runways, there's army barracks and all those things. Afghanistan didn't have any of that. So you're almost sitting there going, what do we go blow up? And somebody famously once said, I was not a big Don Rumsfeld fan, but in fairness, he had a great line one day. He goes, I'm not sure we can kill enough of them to make them like us. And that really kind of summed it all up. But I'll cut it off there. I could go on for hours about that.
We'll have to get you back. I'm going to get your number, but I'm assuming that when McGowan gets to Congress, you're going to be his chief military advisor, right?
Well, if he'll have me, yeah. I get spun. No, I'm a lifelong friend of Chris's. I couldn't be more happy to support him in this endeavor. There is not a more qualified person in America, in my opinion, to go out and represent Iowa for right now. We are thrilled to have him. We hate to lose him here in Siouxland, but he'll be a great voice for us out in D.C.
Let's get to let's get to Don Kass, County Supervisor, Trump Electoral College farmer. So this is going to be interesting because I'm a lifelong protectionist. So I never met a tariff I didn't like, ever, right? So you put a tariff on that microphone and it's made in China, I'm in favor of it because I want to get it made here. So I am a lifelong populist protectionist. But you obviously are in the business, you're a farmer, and you're saying that these tariffs are a tax, right? I don't think it is a tax because we haven't seen that. Coupled with the fact is we want to manufacture and grow our things here. I don't want to ship our jobs out to China and Korea and Indonesia. So explain to our audience why I'm wrong and you're right.
Well, as pertains to the farm sector, frankly, here in our country, we can raise corn, soybeans, beef, highest quality beef in the world, by the way, pork, chicken, more efficiently and at a lower cost, and ship it to foreign countries than a lot of foreign countries can even do for themselves. So if they put up an artificial trade barrier, which is what a tariff is, that puts us at a disadvantage, and it hurts our markets because they buy less of it. They buy less of it. Now it is fair to say that every country has a national security concern in its own food supply.
But our tariffs are the products coming in.
Correct.
Right? So we don't want them to dump their products in the United States.
Correct.
And undercut U.S. farmers and manufacturers.
Correct.
Right.
But at the same time, they're inhibiting the purchase of ours as we try to export them too.
But they already had the tariffs. See, the reason why Trump
Correct.
did this is, they weren't paying anything to get access to the American consumer, yet when we tried to export, 10, 15, 30, 50% tariffs. That's what the European Union did. That's what Canada did, right? So Canada dumped dairy in Wisconsin, undercut it, government subsidized it, put our dairy farmers under. But going back, they had major tariffs on our dairy going in there. So basically they took over the dairy market. They did the same thing with wood and lumber. So what Trump was trying to do was get rid of those.
Correct.
By getting reciprocal tariffs. How does that hurt?
Well, it got so far out of balance that we were at a trade disadvantage. We had such a huge trade deficit. You need to look at tariffs like a fire extinguisher. I loathe the idea of having to use a fire extinguisher because it means there's a fire in my house. But when you need it, by God, you better use it. And what we've got is things have gotten so out of, and it's not just ag markets, it's cars. Why was there a 900% tariff on an American car in Japan? That made no sense. That's not fair. I mean, that's not free trade. As Chris said, we have to have free trade and fair trade, and that's where the tariffs come in. It's all about comparative advantage, and every country is economically interested in having a comparative advantage. But when it gets so far out of whack, when you talk about tariffs against American pork in various countries, South Korea, Japan, which Trump has reopened up that market for American pork and chicken.
But that argument, Don, only holds is if they didn't have their own tariff
Correct.
until we did a tariff. We did the tariff because they had a tariff.
Right.
So the argument that you're making is upside down, because had they had no tariffs, we wouldn't be having this argument. Trump got pissed for two reasons. We had unfair tariffs, like you mentioned, in Japan.
Great.
And the second reason is Wall Street was shipping our jobs to Indonesia and China. That's why we lost to furniture manufacturing, dairy, lumber, the whole thing, steel, right? Because if Wall Street wants cheap labor, and so they ship their jobs out. And our guys are on the unemployment line being a greeter at Walmart. That's why Trump is trying to get it back. And the other thing about free trade, Trump said this: everybody wants access to the American consumer because we have the money to buy their goods.
Right.
Therefore, 10% cost of entry. Just like when you go to a bar and they have a band, right? You can't walk in, you got to pay a cover charge. Don't want to pay the cover charge? Go to the other bar without the band. So what Trump is saying is, you want access to our consumer, you're going to have to pay 10% regardless. That's our floor. And you have no choice. And what you're going to have to do is lower your margins. Not my problem. That's his position. What is your juxtaposition to that?
Well, I tell you, there's a time and a place where you allow another country, say 30, 40 years ago, China, to have high tariffs, and we accept their goods at next to no tariffs,
right, exactly.
because you want that economy to develop. China is not an undeveloped economy anymore. They probably don't have the buying power as on average as the American citizen, of course, but they're not a third world country anymore. Japan's not a third world country anymore. Western Europe, for the most part, not a third world country anymore. These are developed economies, and it is no longer in our interest to have, allow them to have extremely high tariffs on our products when, we can sell them. Their consumers, if it wasn't for the tariff, they're taxing their own people. If it wasn't for those tariffs, they could buy a lot more of our products. So what Trump is trying to do and say, hey, we're going to put tariffs on your whiskey until you lower your tariffs on our corn. Just pulling two products out.
No,
of
it's
the air.
true. Yeah, right.
That's the fire extinguisher now. I don't want to do this, but if you're going to stick it to me on your end, why wouldn't we do it to yours? Mm-hmm. It's a balanced thing. Mm-hmm. If we had 20% tariffs on each other, that's kind of a value-added tax, sales tax, if you will. But it's gotten so. If theirs is 20 and ours is 0 or 5, why do we allow that? Why do we allow that?
Let's let McGowan in here to break the tie.
So as we look at this, we have to understand what the president is trying to do, and this goes to the heart of America First. He's trying to help us rebuild the middle class in this country. And that is a noble pursuit, and I support it. We have to understand that a generation ago, there was so much manufacturing in this country that you could make a good, solid living. But we've hollowed out those jobs. We've sent those jobs overseas. Listen, Ross Perot made a very valid point when he ran for president in the early 1990s, and he said when you support NAFTA, the giant sucking sound you're going to hear is jobs leaving the United States of America. Listen, let's all look back, and Ross Perot had a valid point.
Bingo.
He proved correct in this, and President Trump, 30 years later, is trying to say we have to reconcile this. We have to rebuild the middle class, and it goes back to what Colonel Miller has expertise in. He spent over 3 decades in our armed forces. We have to be able to build things if we are going to be a military superpower. Trump is trying to bring that manufacturing back to the United States, and I support him in doing so.
All right, McGowan and Fredericks 2, and Don Kass 1. So you lost 2-1.
Well, I don't know about that. I think Don's making very valid points about agriculture, and we're delighted to have Don with us this morning. And Don farms about 45 minutes from here, Don, in Remsen, Iowa.
Hour, yeah.
About an hour
Yeah.
in Remsen, Iowa. So thanks for getting up super early. Heck, you were probably doing chores. You probably had a couple of hours of chores done before you got on the road to Sioux City.
You know, my beloved wife, who's watching us, streaming us right now, and she's going to have to walk through 4,000 pigs because I'm down here. So you guys owe her one.
We do. We're gonna have to take her to dinner.
Thank you, Mrs. Kass.
Can I just say after this,
Yes.
after hanging on to John's show and taking the beating that you've taken, wouldn't you just beg to be back with those pigs again?
Well, they don't smell as nice as these boys do, but yeah.
Yeah, I got dressed up.
They don't talk back either.
I got dressed. No, but listen, it's a good discussion, and you know it's interesting. Chris McGowan mentions NAFTA. That's how I first got to Trump. Was NAFTA. When I was fighting NAFTA back in the day. Remember that was the Newt Gingrich thing and everything. I could only find 3 people that were against it. It was Pat Buchanan, Ross Perot, who was, Ross Perot, and Donald J. Trump, who at the time was a Democrat back in the 90s. So that's how I first hooked up. Like, I couldn't find anybody that was against NAFTA anywhere. And of course, Newt Gingrich, all the Republicans were for it, the Democrats were for it. So we had 3 people fighting it. Obviously, we didn't fare very well, but that's how I hooked up with Buchanan back then. But I was one of them. NAFTA was a disaster, and that thing they turned it into, USMCA. That's just NAFTA light. I mean, that did nothing. We're going to go to a quick break. When we get back, we got Ox, we got McGowan. Team McGowan is basically here. Colonel Brian Miller, Chris Hupke, Don Kass. Hello, Mrs. Kass. Thank you for sharing your husband with us. So you got to go and walk through the pigs, but thank you. We appreciate it. And we got the Oxman with us. So we're all going to be right back. You're on the John Fredericks Media Network on the Trump bus, doing a bus tour in Iowa, day 3 in Sioux City. And I wouldn't be here without McGowan's leadership. And last night when he took us to 3 states in 3 minutes, I'm like, where are we? South Dakota. Where are we? Nebraska. Where are we? Oh, now we're back in Iowa. And he said, you should move. And he said, this is the subdivision. You and Ann, when you're empty nesters, we are empty nesters, should move here. Like, no.
Well, we'd love to have you in Sioux City, Iowa. You did give me the choice between North Dakota and South Dakota. And I said, be right across. If it's down to those 2, take South Dakota because you're right across the border from Iowa. But if it's open-ended, we'd love to have you in Iowa.
Well, it's going to be hard for me and Ann to leave the
We
safest,
understand.
most beautiful, gorgeous city in America, Washington, D.C., of which, by the way, I am running for Ward 2 chairman there. I got to get my petition signed. Don't forget. Just go to my website. Good segue. Make DC Great. That's makedcgreat.com. Makedcgreat.com. You can help me out there. We need petition signers. Got to get on the ballot. And Hupke knows about that. He's getting signatures now, pain in the ass. So we got to get signatures. Plus, you can always give me a campaign donation out of the goodness of your heart, all by going to makedcgreat.com. We're going to be right back with the Iowa gang and a little Minnesota thrown in the Ox. Stay with us. All right, you're back in the John Fredericks Media Network. Great to have you. We are on the Trump bus tour, Iowa. What do you guys call it? Sioux something?
Sioux City, tri-state region, the
Sioux
Siouxland
City,
area.
Siouxland area.
The Siouxland area.
We got a great crew here. We got so many people. I had to write them all down. I can't remember. But, of course, we got Ox with us, the Oxman, KNSI Radio, gracing us with his presence. He'll be doing his show starting at 9 o'clock right here on the Trump bus. So you don't want to miss that. Chris McGowan is with us, candidate, U.S. Congress, District 4. This is the seat of Randy Feetstrup, who is the existing congressperson running for governor and doesn't spending a lot of time in Iowa, going to 99 counties, and some people wringing their hands over it. But he's going to be on Friday, so we'll ask him about it. No worries. Colonel Brian Miller, who I'm going to have back on as a regular guest, talk about the debacle that went on in Afghanistan. And Rumsfeld's favorite line, that was, I never heard that. Rumsfeld's favorite line, if we keep, what was it?
I'm not sure we can kill enough people to make them like us.
That is so Rumsfeld, right? That is such a great line. I'm not sure we can kill enough people in Iraq to make them like us. That's good. Okay, we got Colonel Brian Miller with us, soon to be the military advisor for the McGowan's Congress seat. Chris Hupke is with us. Hupke and I agree on everything. He's Trump, Governor Nome, 2016 Trump Iowa 4 director, blah, blah, blah. I got all that done. And then, of course, Don Kass is with us, gracing us with his presence off his farm, county supervisor, Trump Electoral College, and a farmer. And we had a good discussion here on Tariffs.